Hi guys, Peter from Vox Singing Academy here. Unfortunately, the video for video podcast number 12, the steps needed to sound like a professional singer, unfortunately was corrupt. So I have taken the audio that we're going to use for our podcasts and I've thrown some photos on there. So if you want to listen to it here on YouTube, you can listen to the whole thing. It was basically just me and Emily sitting around on these chairs talking anyway. But I hope that you enjoy the podcast, the video podcast, or the podcast if you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on all the big podcast platforms. Thanks for watching and listening. Thanks guys, much love.
Vox Singing Academy!
Hi there and welcome to Vox Singing Academy's video podcast, and we are up to number 12. How you doing this weekend?
Still alive.
Fantastic.
How
Let's start with a high five.
Yes.
Normally we finish with a high five, so it's great to be back here again. And if you like this channel, please subscribe. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. We're a community here, so we'll always help you out, answer any of your questions, and we'll always get back to you. And if we pick out a segment for you, you will get a free singing lesson with myself or one of our fantastic staff here at Vox Singing Academy. So leading straight off into this week's video podcast, Emily, the question is, can you please explain the difference between an amateur and a professional singer?
And we're talking here not about your ability to get paid for performing, but your vocal proficiency level.
Having a professional quality sounding voice is what we're talking about.
And what is required from you as a 100% professional versus an amateur who can be okay at a couple of things, but then when they're out of their depth, everything's lost. The world is ending.
So we're basically talking about the difference between being a hobby singer that's good and not and a singer that's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Who's got a great voice, and what it takes to get to that level. That's what we're going to be basically discussing. Okay, so we're not discussing the difference between being, because I did quickly quiz you before this, the difference, what I think, between an amateur and a professional singer is someone's getting paid to do their trade. But we'll talk about what it requires to become a professional singer.
Awesome. So the first point would probably be prioritize your craft over activities like watching TV or endlessly scrolling through social media. Yeah, that is kind of self-explanatory. If you have a choice, what should I do? I kind of can do either of those. Scroll through Facebook or Instagram for 2 hours and go maybe learn a new song in a genre that I have not done before, or refresh my older exercises. If your choice is Facebook, then you are either super confident in your skill level or you don't want to get this skill level.
You know, it's something that we've gone over in these podcasts over and over again is basically, you know, if you're passionate about it, you'll put the work in. And if you want it badly enough, you'll put the work in. But I really think the underlying of this is that you've got to have a passion and joy for it, because when the times get tough and it's getting hard to do it, then your passion is going to get you through. It's just like Michael Jordan just shooting hoop after hoop after hoop in college just to become as good as what he's done. And you know, and Bono just Bono from U2 taking singing lessons because he was going to get kicked out of the band. He kept on blowing out his voice, so he just got it to where it needed to be by relentless practice. Same with Pavarotti. I was very quickly reading his autobiography, but when he was very young, he blew out his voice right before an audition, and he just got his technique up and practiced and practiced and practiced for as long as his voice could basically handle. when he was young for one of his very first auditions. I think he might have even damaged his voice. But that's really what it takes. You know, and you gotta sacrifice things and cut things out. And as I said in a past podcast, 2018, I watched 35 minutes of commercial TV. And that's just what I needed to do to get to the level that I wanted to in my personal life, my spiritual life, and my business life.
Yes. So regular practice. The next point that I would like to raise that is important for me personally is consistent performance technically. Knowing where you're going to sing in falsetto, knowing where you're going to use your cry pedal. So this is incredibly important for me, and it took me out of some pretty serious jams with my voice when I was super nervous for whatever reason, but I was just like, yep, I know this is where I go into falsetto. I should not be pushing this forward. I should not be crying on it. I know that this is the falsetto part. So being aware of what your voice can do and knowing exactly what you're doing at every single point.
More so if you're a performer.
Yes.
If you're performing and you're performing regularly, you would generally be doing the same songs over and over again. That's like if you're doing, say for instance, Rob Mills, when he was doing Wicked, he did however long the production went for down here, 6 months or 9 months up in Sydney, and 6 months or 9 months down here. Same songs, night after night, and he knew how to sing them, and it was basically, he could sing them in his sleep. It was the same thing. Can you imagine how many times Mick Jagger has sung Brown Sugar? And it's autopilot. He will always sing it, and it's just knowing where it is and what you're doing, and yeah. So that's just repetition, and practice
Yes.
makes perfect. That's a big one if you're performing.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming a professional singer, getting your voice to the level of being a professional singer, comes with practicing, and always quality over quantity. That's so important with the voice, because the voice can fatigue.
Yes.
If you go and get a scholarship to play classical piano at the Melbourne Conservatorium at Melbourne University, the pianists there are generally behind the piano between 10 plus hours a day, but the voice can't always do that.
Yes.
Okay, so the singers there aren't doing that. So whenever you're practicing, it's quality over quantity, saying, okay, what is this scale for? This scale's a trill, so then a hold, or this scale's a cry, wah. It's for whatever skill it's for, and then transposing that straight into some prac work, some songs. So it's always, even if you're only got, geez, I've only got 20 minutes before I go out here. Okay, let's do 10 minutes of scales. Let's run through 2 songs, but let's make this the best scale work out here. Mm-hmm. That we possibly can today. So that's where I really think that where the difference between a professional and someone that's not professional, and that's where it is. It's in
Yes.
execution. And you see professional bodybuilders at the gym. It's, you know, their technique's just amazing. They're not just going, you know, and their diet's amazing, and whatever it is. So it's quality over quantity to do with singing. That's what I really think, and execution. And you've got to be doing this seriously. If you want to have a great voice, you would have to be singing 6 days a week.
Yes. And have your rest day. Have your rest day. That's very important as well.
For sure, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the next point I would say that is different that differentiates a professional singer from amateur singer is that if thrown in the same situation, a professional can make decisions on the spot when they have to sing in a different key from practiced. Let's say your guitar player is just nowhere to be found. I don't know, got sick, is not coming to the gig. What do? You just pull up whatever instrumental you have. You literally don't have the time. Whatever key that is in, you start singing. Amateur singer would go like, oh, well, sorry guys, I was not really prepared for it, so I will be singing a key that I'm not used to, and so please excuse my performance. Professional singer will just work around.
It's not so much work around, it's hearing the different key, knowing that. You don't even need to know what key the song has gone to and say, it's gone here.
Yes.
You know, I gave one of my students, oh God, I'm having a bloody blank again. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock.
Yep.
Anyway, it's gone. And he brought in an original song. He says, I've got trouble with this Jimmy. I'd like to say hi to Jimmy. It was Jimmy. Actually, he came in about 9:30 it was 9:30. It was my last lesson on a Tuesday night. And Jimmy came in with this song. He goes, Pete, I don't know where this verse is sitting. And he was sort of in between this spoken word key thing. And I just said, Jimmy, I'm going to give you two versions. We can go down this lower version, na, or you can go, na, or either end. He was sort of around the middle. But it's exactly the same. And I think that you become very good at that when you listen to music more, but also listening to scales, because we play the chord before every scale, and it gives you each scale where it is up and down through your range. So the guitar will be playing it. So, it's gone up. You don't even need to know what it's gone up to. The scale's gone up a semitone, but even the guitar's changed, or your guitarist has left the capo on the guitar, and he was meant to take it off, and I'm going to go here. Do you know what I mean? So it was very much the same as Kurt Cobain from Nirvana when he used to play live. Because his guitar was tuned differently, he actually used to have to sing the Nirvana songs higher than what they were recorded. They were hard to sing recorded, and that just comes with practice.
Yes.
Really, and just practicing your craft, and that's really all it is. Yeah, and that's the difference between a professional singer in that respect, and then also to do with everything. I'm not quite sure what I didn't even look at the notes there, but it goes all the way through your life. You know, what you eat, how much you sleep, what you prioritize, the people that you have in your life. These are all really big things. The people that you cut out, what's more so the people that are out of your life are more important than the people that you have. The people that you have in your life will hopefully be supportive. So that's very important that way as well too. So, but everything, diet, what you do, execution and dedication. You know, I'm not talking execution, killing stuff. I'm talking
everybody understood
going through with it and doing it, not just saying it, but doing it. And if you're doing it and you're focusing on this, and even if you're doing 20 minutes every day, you will get the results. You'll see results if you're practicing to the best of your ability. I suggest more if you want to become a professional singer. I suggest doubling that, at a minimum doubling that, doing 20 minutes of scales and 20 minutes of singing. That's for someone that's lazy, but really ultimately you'd want to be doing, to get the results, you'd want to be doing more than half an hour's worth of scales, around half an hour, and then singing for at least a half an hour to an hour after that. Minimum, that if you want to be very good.
Next point I would like to add, which is important especially for me, is that an amateur singer would probably be focusing on one genre or one type of singing. And somebody who wants to develop their skill level to the maximum, they would be highly proficient in minimum 1-2 favorite genres of singing. Like, for example, I sing a lot of metal and I sing a lot of folk. So these are my two most favorite genres, often combined. But you should always be able to deliver good quality performance in other genres. And again, in my case, it would be jazz, or it would be country, or it would be like R&B. Basically take any other genre that I don't necessarily specialize in narrowly, But if called to a studio session to do backing vocals or to cover for somebody at a show,
Yep.
I know what I'm doing in every genre. And what is your point on that? Viewpoint on this?
Again, I'm always one to go with heart. Okay, so if someone said to me, "Hey, Pete, I'm in a traditional country and western band, and could you fill in for a month?" I would say no, because it's not my passion. I like some country, so that's. But if it, and I also, as well too, on that point, I think that there are good and bad examples of every genre.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, a
There
couple
is.
of band names are running through my head now.
Hey, I love Eminem. I love Beyonce. I love Christina Aguilera. There are some songs like this that, I wouldn't, some friends would go, Jesus, how come? Hey, I love Adele. So yes, that's one thing, and so going back with your passion, but I definitely say sing a couple of different styles and start to branch out. I think if you're a one-trick dog, you're not going to get that far. You see a lot of the rappers these days, they can sing. You see Ed Sheeran started off as a folk singer, but now he does a lot of runs and a lot of trills in his latest album. It's very close to R&B, so he's creeping in this R&B sort of mode. Adele is a folk singer. The last album I thought it's got some even dancey elements, some dance songs, and a lot of soul in there as well too. So you can see that Adele's she sung along to Gloria Gaynor and to the Pointer Sisters and Aretha Franklin, and to Carole King. So you can try a couple of different genres that you really like to do. And I really think that there was there was a Christina Aguilera album out a few years ago, and I forgot what the name of the album was, but it had Beautiful on it. It had Fighter on it. It had Fighter is a hard rock song.
Yes.
Beautiful is a ballad. There was there was pop songs on there. There was a couple of R&B songs on there. There was some sort of soul songs where she would go with her voice, and that was like wow. That was great. Beyonce kind of followed suit a little bit. I don't know whether they were following, but Beyonce kind of released an album that had some very sort of soul, R&B, hip hop. There were even to the point of rock, pop. If I Was a Boy, it was straight pop song, power ballad. If I Was a Boy. So yeah, I think that was a big thing with their trying to also influence and be as creative as you can. Why just paint grey lead when you can paint multiple colours? And it cross generates as well too to other people liking it. I think that Christina Aguilera album was great because I've got hard rock guys that love Fighter, and there are girls that love the R&B songs on that album. And she gained fans in multiple genres from releasing that album. It was kind of a little bit. I thought it was actually never mentioned. I thought it was kind of a little bit of a groundbreaking album for that because I thought that she had a couple of hits on that album in a couple of different genres, not just one genre.
Professional will always seek to expand.
Yes, enjoy what you're doing. You can see that Christina Aguilera has come from a soul background. She's grown up with the soul classics, but then she's gone into R&B to get her pop R&B. When she first started her career, it was pop, and then she's gone into more R&B, and then she's sort of.
So this Mickey Mouse Club with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. When they were doing this together, Yes, look at JT as well too, where he's come from as well too. The boy band, he outgrew that pretty quickly.
and then went into his Jamiroquai sound, so the pop R&B thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
he changed from where he was going to, from this straight, you know, the boy band era. You know, well, you know, it was a strange time for the music industry then, wasn't it?
Awesome. So
There's some great things that come out of it. You know, Robbie
Yeah.
Williams, Justin Timberlake, that other guy from the Irish band there, the Irish guy. All three great guys.
no clue.
It's gonna come to Ronan Keating. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my next point on this list is that a professional singer learns new material fast.
Yep.
And fast, we're talking like 6 songs on the bus to the venue. Obviously, it probably won't be to the best standard, but sometimes things happen. Sometimes your friend gets sick and just texts you like, Peter,
Yeah.
I got no voice. I literally got no voice. We can't cancel the show. We'd be $5,000 in debt. Can you please cover for me? Here are my songs, here are my lyrics, here are the instrumentals for you.
You know, it's a little bit harder for a vocalist in this situation.
Yes.
It is.
You have to hold the show.
You know, Greta Van Fleet were just in town and they cancelled their shows because he had laryngitis. You know, and then I've seen other band members lose a drummer, for instance, and they've got the support band to do the drumming because he's been listening to them for the last 2 months, playing it. So I think it's a little bit harder for a vocalist. The only good thing about that is now is even if you don't have a teleprompter, you can always just get your iPad and you can run the lyrics, because the lyrics on your iPad have got an automatic teleprompter there, and it runs it through as well too. So that's always a thing that you can always do. It's going to go with the lyrics. And
Still have to learn the melody though and the structure.
It is, and I really think learning a song, when we're coming down to this, you know, there is more to it than just learning the lyrics. You got to learn the tempo, the melody is so important, and then you're going into phrasing, nuances, volumes. There's everything like that. But yeah, look, I think that again, learning songs that quickly, it really comes to being you've got to be in the trade for a long time. It's something that someone that's maybe had a year or two with lessons will struggle with that.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing, and it's
This is why we want all students to learn the lyrics and learn the basic melody before they bring stuff into class, because it's gonna help in the future. Like right now, I'm not about to get on the road, but just to keep myself fresh, whenever a student brings me a song that I have never heard before, it's like a point of keeping myself in shape and in the saddle. On the break, instead of having a break, I will go and learn the song to the best of my ability. And if you try and learn a new song every day, you don't have to be like super proficient at it. Just make sure that you hit the right notes, make sure that you know most of the lyrics, you know most of the structure. And right now, with having like sing-along videos on YouTube with original artists and lyrics running on the screen, and also karaoke, it's like in 30 minutes you can go through the song 6-7 times. The more you do it, the more new material you learn, the better you become at it. So I highly recommend everybody just starts to invest their time in it. A little bit of time. You don't have to hit all the high notes, you don't have to get all of the nuances, just get into a habit of learning new material. It's gonna keep you in the business for longer, it's gonna keep your brain working better for longer. So there are all sorts of benefits to this.
I do have a 5-minute singer YouTube segment regarding learning lyrics.
Yes.
And I also I'm going to, I actually got quizzed this in one of the YouTube segments regarding songwriting about how do I memorize my own lyrics. So I'm doing an Ask VSA segment within the next probably month as well too. So that's probably won't make it into the link below, but we have a 5-minute singer segment regarding how do I learn lyrics and memory. But there will be a VSA, an Ask VSA segment that we could be covering that as well too. So
awesome.
About tips regarding that.
Awesome. Okay, so another point of professionalism is knowing how to deal and perform when you're sick. How to deal with illness and how to still sing if you're a little bit under the weather.
All right.
So most amateur singers will go, oh no, I just don't do anything. If I'm unwell, I should just lying down.
Yeah.
You should still practice thoughtfully, quieter, lower, pitch songs down, more falsetto instead of power notes, and so on and so on. And your teacher should be able to explain to you how to do this.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid of singing sick. I would like to put a disclaimer in it though, except for laryngitis.
Exactly.
Well, you have like when the voice doesn't connect.
Yeah,
This is when you should not be doing anything.
Yes.
But if you get a bit of a snivels, you get a bit of a migraine, power through. It's terrifying at first, but then your body learns that's nothing scary. Like any kind of life skill, you just practice it and figure out that nobody died, nobody lost their voice. Just be gentle with it,
and work through it. So I've taught now for nearly 28 years, and I have had less than 10 days off from teaching, and that was through laryngitis. Yeah. I've taught through colds, flus, sinus infections, ear infections, you name it. I've taught through it, and it's the same thing. When you have a cold or a flu, you still go to rehearsal, because if you're on tour and you've got a cold and a flu, we want to go, okay guys, I've got a really bad cold, let's tune the set down. Let's do the lower songs. Let's not do that high song here. Can we transpose it? Can we do this song? I'm going to do this high bit here in falsetto. You will work around it. Okay, you support more. So I'm going to breathe more. I'm going to cut the ends of the song off. Okay. I'm going to do more of this to the crowd. Whatever it might be.
That's my favorite one. Now your turn.
But the whole thing is that yes, keep on practicing. See how it feels. This is like driving a car that is breaking down. Okay, we're still going to drive it, but we're going to drive it a bit more cautiously. Maybe the steering's starting to go, but we're going to learn how to drive it with the steering a little bit wobbly.
Maybe there's a bit of ice on the road. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to drive it with a bit more caution. And once you've driven it through that ice with a shaky steering wheel, next time you do it, you're going to know, I'm going to be able to do this. Because there are touring bands. Like last year, In Heart's Wake toured for 9 months of the year. And Jake and Kyle undoubtedly would have had numerous colds and flus or ailments, diarrhea, whatever it is, through that particular time. I'm just thinking about Iron Maiden did a video.
Adult diapers and on you go.
They actually did a video where it was a very famous. I think they might have made a little movie out of it, where Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer, is a pilot, and they've got a big, and they flew to all of these major cities. So they did one after the next. So they did like London, LA, Vancouver. They did Delhi. They did it, and they got very sick when they were in Delhi in India. No, they didn't get sick then. They got sick when they come. And the next show, they were still doing it, and they were actually running off stage, going to the toilet and throwing up and doing numerous things because they all had this bug. So you can actually sort of say, and do you know what I mean? They're going to know what to do to get through that next time. But yes, still sing and get used to your voice and say, okay, I'm going to tune the song down. I'm going to sing this part falsetto, and work it out. Work out a path that works for you when you're sick. That's what I do when I teach.
Awesome. Next point is a professional singer has and knows their equipment. If a guitar player brings on 2 guitars to the show, different tunes, or one as a backup, if they bring on their own cabinets, if they bring their own pedal boards, if they bring a whole crap ton of equipment, and a singer shows up with themselves and nothing else, I find that it's a very big point of disrespect to your bandmates who invest so much of their time to learn how their equipment works, not just money into buying it. So for example, when I see a singer who claims to be a professional singer and they come up on stage and they sing like this, just flailing their microphone around, doing that, I'm like, what is even happening? How can you be doing this for 10 years and not know how to hold the mic, where the sound goes? Or when you're in the studio, sorry, I'm getting super passionate about it because it's a big point for me. Or when you're in the studio and you grab a condenser mic, and if it's a side address microphone and you're trying to turn it around and sing into the top of it, what are you even doing?
Generally, the producer won't let you.
Yes, but trust me, it happens. Or when people take the microphone and start banging on it to check whether it's working. This one that trips me up the most.
I say that to a lot of my students will come in. A lot of my students will come in, and younger students, you know, in their teens, and they'll grab the mic when they're singing. They'll hit the top of it, and I always say to them, I say to them joking, I say, don't do that to your own mic, okay?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So another fantastic point is when singers don't bring their own microphone and connection rig to the show. I'm not even talking about your own vocal processor. If you're serious about things, if you're starting to work with a band, you can save your band and the sound engineer a lot of time if you just buy one vocal processor which has 3 things in it. It has an equalizer, it has a compressor, and if you're working with a condenser mic, not with a dynamic mic, but with a condenser mic, it has a preamplifier. It doesn't have to. So if you're working with a dynamic mic, you can just get away with 2 things in your microphone: equalizer and compressor. Sorry, in your vocal processor, equalizer and compressor. So if you have these things in addition to your mic, you know very well how much compression you need, you know your dynamic range. You can ask your sound engineer to help you figure out the basic settings, and then it will be way easier for them once you feed them line from your vocal processor into the deck. It will be way easier for them to just level things up, maybe drop a bit more EQ on top of it, maybe a bit more of compression on top of it when you're at the venue, because when you're the venue is filling up with people, obviously frequency balance changes. We get so much like human bodies that muffle the sound, so you may need a bit more of reverb or something like that. Yeah, so you don't even need a reverb or delay in your vocal processor, because most decks will have that. But look into it. There are some excellent inexpensive options, and remember that there are different settings on it if you're using a different microphone, because not all of them have the same frequency response. And probably it's a subject for another topic, like how to figure out what works for your voice if you're not a sound engineer, and how to tune your own vocal processor, and maybe which vocal processor to choose. And again, I'm not talking here about auto-tune. If you're using it, it's up to you. I'm talking about equalization and compression. These two things are gonna save you a lot of time and pain. That's me done about equipment. Absolute minimum.
Yes, you know, with equipment as well too, on that, you know, a lot of times the venues, you know, provide, especially if you're playing smaller venues, provide a lot of equipment. We're talking live performances.
Yes.
But you know, a lot of students are using in-ear monitors now as well too, even for smaller performances. And I just think, I always say to my students, just for hygiene reasons, having your own microphone.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
That-
Whoever had just barfed all over it, we don't know.
Yep. So just for hygiene reasons, you should always have your own microphone. Definitely. Buying a good quality microphone.
Yes.
Any other questions, Em?
Do you have anything to add to what we just talked about?
I think we've pretty much covered everything there. Really, you know, the bottom line is just you know, dedication and execution.
Yes.
That's really all it is.
Yes.
It's about practice and enjoying what you're doing and going out and doing it.
And make sure that you can do it always.
Yes.
Whether there is a microphone at the venue or not, whether there is a lead or not,
Whether you're sick.
Whether you're sick.
When you're tired. Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. I think we're done.
Thanks, Em.
Yay.
Good to see you. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next episode of Vox Singing Academy's video podcasts. Have a great time. Enjoy your singing. Much love.
Yay. Talk soon.